And welcome into Half the Distance Live, your weekly football podcast where we're going to talk about all things we find interesting at this point because there are no real games yet. As always, I am Matty Fax, joined by Scottathan Staten, aka Scotty Stats, Brian the Professor, and slightly off camera, our producer, Pepe Le Producer. We are going to go over a few things this week. I want to start off with, it has been talked ad nauseum on all sports shows and papers and everything else at this point, but we had to discuss it. Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
He's been at odds with the team. They had said, we will not trade him. We will not give him a new contract, and he can search for any trade he wants to now. However, we want a first-round draft pick back. So we're not going to give you a contract that's up to what you think you're worth, but we think you're worth a first-round pick. But we're not willing to give you a contract for what a first-round pick is worth either.
Nope.
I don't understand it. I'm not sure anyone does. As far as I know, the Dolphins and Rams, so far, are two of the teams that have been reported that are going for him. I think either one would be an ideal landing spot for someone of his talents.
I don't know if the Dolphins really need him necessarily, and it wouldn't hurt. And the amount that they're going to have to trade away to get for him, I struggle to see the value. I mean, don't get me wrong; he's an absolute superstar, but they've got some good backs, and
They have a pretty solid three-back rotation going.
Yeah. The Rams could be that's huge for them.
Yeah.
I think they're looking for a good comeback year anyways. They could be really, really big, but
And probably more financially capable of pulling that off.
Yeah, at this point, because they had to suffer through last year after putting that Super Bowl win on the credit card, if you will.
Yep.
But I think Cam Akers is a pretty solid running back for them. He had a very strong to the finish after a really weird start to the season last year. He was coming back from the Achilles injury, which is normally a death sentence for a running back. But he came back, and then they didn't like how he was playing, and they said, you can try to find a trade partner if you want to, and he wasn't suiting up. And then Stafford and Kupp got hurt, and it's like, hey, we got this guy Cam Akers back here. You want to see if he's capable of anything? And all of a sudden, he closed out with like 5 really good weeks in a row on a team that had nothing going for it.
But you know what? I mean, Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp. That's evil.
That's not fair.
That's pretty special.
Well, and when the Rams were at their best, I think, was when they had Todd Gurley really healthy and capable of playing.
That's one of our shows I was talking about that the best that we saw from Jared Goff was when he had Todd Gurley available to him.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, he had some incredible running backs in Detroit, but he's finding his mojo again. But back then, it was he seems to be back to that speed again. So, but someone like Jonathan Taylor would be so beneficial.
Oh my God, with Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp there, that'd be such a fun thing to watch.
I got a bit of a conspiracy theory around what maybe they're trying to do to push Jonathan Taylor out.
Okay.
I mean, some of it is they want to get the value out of him while they can.
Sure.
Especially because he's likely to be a preseason holdout for next year. With you owe me money, pay me money, he's fucking worth it. But they're tanking this year. So get rid of him now because otherwise he's going to get hurt. They don't have the people out there to protect him.
Their offensive line took a big step back last year.
And if he gets hurt, it ruins his value. So they're trying to get his value now while they're already thinking about tanking. And that's why all of a sudden it was like, this is what we need to do.
That could make sense.
Move him out of here. But they're being a little bit selfish with, like, we're not going to give you more than $10 million. Not that they've thrown the number out there, but also we want more than $10 million in contract. I don't know that for a fact. I spent not enough time looking at what I think.
Well, you start digging around too many rabbit holes, it gets a little crazy.
But what the cost of a first round draft pick really is, like what the salary is essentially. What do you get for that? I couldn't really find it because it's always bundled with other stuff. It's never clean. And then you go back and you're like, you find something, you're like, oh look, it's a defensive tackle, and that person was making $17 million. But there's a couple extra picks in there. I don't know. It's tricky, but still, I think they are 100% looking to do some tanking, and he's gonna get hurt, and it's gonna ruin their value, and they're like, yep, let's get rid of him.
And it's also comical because they're tanking in a terrible division. So, you're going to have to try to lose a little extra hard.
Yeah, maybe what their outlook was like, listen, going against the Texans, he'll give us an edge. We can't have that.
I know.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and ask you guys to take 10% off.
Yeah, and
That'd
it's
be great.
nothing against Anthony Richardson when we say that they're going to be tanking, but his is a quarterback that I think completed 52% of his passes in college.
Yeah.
It only gets harder in the pros. And yes, he is athletic. I mean, he is built like Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Cam Newton had a much more accurate arm coming out of college.
And played a lot more games.
Yes.
Yes, Anthony Richardson, I think, had one real season as a starter.
Yep.
So he has a lot of growth to do as a quarterback. I'm not saying he can't, but that
And-
team's going to be bad.
And you're gonna take the one guy that can save him,
Yeah.
right? Who can be a safety net and be like, "Go fuck yourself, buddy."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of a rough one there.
I can see after like their first win in week 4, all of a sudden a bunch of players get banned because they were gambling.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, I wasn't." Well, it was your phone on the Wi-Fi. I said, "You're on DraftKings." You know?
Oh.
1 year suspension.
Jim Irsay is such an odd owner. He really is. A melancholy shout out to the Ravens preseason 24-game winning streak that came to an end against the Commies this past weekend.
We know it really means nothing, but to have a streak is something nice.
It's
Yeah.
funny though because before the game, someone had asked one of the Commanders players about it, and he's like, "It's preseason. I don't care." Boy, were those Commies celebrating after that win though! Like, oh, it mattered.
And when I saw this, I was like, "So fucking what?"
You know
Why-
what the next
and why-
closest streak is though?
But
6.
right, but I mean, like,
4 times the amount of the next closest streak.
Oh,
And I
no,
get it.
I get it.
Preseason's preseason.
all right, no, so yeah, so they were on an 8-year streak. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
know.
Right?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
But I get that. I was like, why do we care? Why is this even news? But you know what? The amount of times that we complain about preseason and how they're not going out there putting the best players, it's not always worth watching. You're trying to tell me that there wasn't a little something in here every single one of these games that I never even thought about. But if everyone's put a little bit more, and they're like, hey, you know, we're undefeated preseason. Maybe it is cooler than I gave it.
John
credit for.
Harbaugh apparently took the advice of one Herm Edwards. You play to win the games.
Yeah.
It's true.
And apparently he meant that for preseason as well.
Yeah.
I would also, it's also a bit of a melancholy shout out real fast. I read today online that Ryan Jensen, the center for the Buccaneers, who missed all of last season with a knee injury,
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
was put on season-ending IR
Oh no!
again this year
Oh.
for another knee injury.
They do not need that
He's
for their
done.
QBs.
You don't come back from that.
I feel awful for him because we're talking about a Pro Bowl caliber
Yeah.
center, had an excellent career, or has had an excellent career, was a great blocker for Tom Brady the years before this.
Got himself a ring. Yeah.
He did. Just a sad thing to see, and it's going to be real bad for Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield.
It's going to be Baker.
to not have
Yeah.
that center blocking for him because that guy's making all the adjustments, the line.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It really sucks.
Helping the QB read the defense.
Absolutely,
Oh.
the center.
And
If y'all don't know, the center is one of the smartest people on the team. Like,
yep. Yep.
And I think we've talked about this, but just briefly, there's an interview with Manning when talking about Jeff Saturday and the days in Indy, and he would get up there and Jeff Saturday would be like, "This is what's going to happen," and Peyton would be like, "Okay," and that's what you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
So he can coach a quarterback.
Yeah. yes. Yes.
He can coach one person, that's for sure.
One person, yeah.
One person only.
And for those of you that don't know, this was the last weekend of preseason games. There will be no games next weekend, and then we go right into the season kicking off the following week. I can't wait. It'll be so much fun. To start things off, we want to discuss kind of a little fun thing. 3 players, we all picked 3 of them. Individually, we picked them out that we think will take a step forward this year and pick up their game. I'm going to start with one that 3 of us all picked,
Yeah.
just because let's get it out of the way. Kenny Pickett, quarterback, Pittsburgh Steelers.
He had a good year last year. You know, it wasn't the best rookie showing, that's for sure. You know,
I'd say it was pretty solid.
he was solid
With
play.
very little expectations.
Yep.
You know?
But I think they've got, you know, I think he's got what it takes to take, you know, a big step forward, and be the guy that they wanted when they drafted.
So in 13 games last year, he had 2,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Now, most of those interceptions came in the first few games because I believe in the last 6 games he didn't have a single turnover.
Yeah.
So he got a lot better about not turning the ball over. His skill players around him are pretty special, though. Because he's got Pickens, rookie last year. He's got Deontay Johnson, who's a leader in targets almost every year. He's got Jalen Warren in the backfield. And there were Najee Harris
Yeah.
to be the
yeah,
starter
yeah,
in the
yeah,
backfield.
yeah,
plus
yeah.
Pat Fryermuth at tight end.
Yep.
If they improve the offensive line, which I think they did, they signed a guy in the offseason, and they also drafted Broderick Johnson, I believe, out of Georgia, with their first pick at offensive tackle. I think this offense, even if he just gets to the league average, the offense in general will be so much better. The Steelers will be competing again for the North
Yeah,
Crown.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, I think he can take a step forward, especially with those weapons around him. So, anything to add?
I think you pretty much said it all.
Okay. Well, Scott, let's go into your second person then.
So, I'm going with DJ Moore. Last year was a rough one in general out of Carolina. He had something like 900 yards, but the years prior he was in the 1,100 yard range, and I think that being a primary target for a team that is primed for some good receiving. Obviously, Justin Fields has to take that next step forward also. But it looks like the rest of the Bears are taking a big leap on offense, at least on paper. So I think he's due for a 1,200-yard season. So
Yep.
I think a lot of it is just him getting back onto his trajectory.
Sure.
He was already there. He was already a fantastic receiver to begin with. It's just getting back on track, being in the right team, the right system. Matt Eberflus seems to be doing a good job with the vision he has for the team. So, I think you agree, being the Bears guy, but
I do.
so I think that's an easy one for an improved player.
You want to hear a funny stat about him?
Yeah, Matt Eberflus has stats.
No. Matty Fax does. Had DJ Moore been drafted by the Bears and had all of his yards, which he's got somewhere like 5,500 total receiving yards in his career at this point. Had he had all of those with the Bears, do you know where he
No.
would rank as the Bears
Still tell me first.
receiver all time in their list?
Put me like third.
Nope. Go higher.
What?
Number 1, baby.
Seriously?
That's how bad our passing offense has
my
been. We've
God.
never had a 4,000-yard passer. Holy crap, have we sucked at throwing the ball.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How did y'all win a Super Bowl?
The defense.
Walter Payton.
Walter Payton.
And Buddy Ryan's defense. There's a reason why our defensive coordinator was also carried off the field. I want to piggyback off that real fast because I have Justin Fields as one of the people I think is going to take a step up. Now, this is not going to be too hard because he threw for, hold on, I wrote it down, in 15 starts, 2,200 passing yards. He did have 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He also added 1,143 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. I do think the rushing yards take a step back. I think that is just with having the
They
better
have to. That's
personnel to
too
throw the
many,
ball to.
yeah.
And by the end of the season, his
And
legs,
running backs.
you could tell his legs were kind of losing the strength from having to run so much. And that does take away from your passing ability because
Oh, yeah.
the strength of your throwing comes from your legs.
Yep.
So I think,
Unless you're Patrick Mahomes.
yeah. My God, that man can throw anywhere from any position. It's unreal. But I think that with the improvements to the offensive line, if they ever get healthy, they've been hurt all preseason. But adding DJ Moore is the key to this to me because that makes Darnell Mooney a number 2 where he should be. It makes Chase Claypool the number 3, which is
That's a
really good
That's a
receiving
nice
core to
addition,
have.
too, yeah.
And having Cole Kmet at tight end, plus Robert Tonyan from Green Bay, who's a nice receiving tight end. It's a really interesting room they have. They got Roshan Johnson in the draft out of University of Texas, who is a good receiving back, also a very good pass blocking back.
Did you just compliment the Longhorn?
I did, and it hurt right in here. But he's a Bear now, so it felt better.
We got it recorded forever now.
Well, I feel bad on my third pick that I'm not still talking about the Bears.
Oh, you could though. You could. But this is interesting because this is a guy that you and Eric both have.
Kyle Pitts. I think that he's. He was. Did we determine if he's the highest drafted tight end of all time?
Yep. 4th overall pick.
Fourth
yeah.
overall.
Yep.
He had a good rookie season, and last year was just fucking miserable. And it looks like the rest of the offensive core is better than last year. Who the hell knows if Desmond Ridder is going to be,
He can't be worse than Mariota.
but he's just such a monster out there, and it's a tragedy for someone who's as big as he is, as talented as he is, good hands, to not he should be looking at if he doesn't get 900 yards receiving this year, it's the worst coaching of all time. I think he's due. He's an absolute stud, and I think he's getting wasted in Atlanta. So hopefully he can take a step up, just for his own self. But then maybe find a better organization that wouldn't be he could be used in a lot of places. So yeah, he's my third pick.
So I agree with everything Scott just said, and we talked about it earlier. The only other thing I was going to say is just it's a matter of him staying healthy, and I think if he can be healthy, just him being on the field, having what would be a sort of regular season for him would be stepping up in our eyes, or at least mine, I think. So his biggest struggle is just literally being on the field, good to go, and if he can do that, I think he'll have a good season.
And a tight end that has good hands and is just absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So he's going to be available for throws all over the place. Having that short range pass option for a quarterback that we're not sure is a luxury.
I mean, A, there's the security blanket, and then B, if nothing else, he's taking attention from the defense for other people to get some free space.
And last year, I believe, I think I'm saying this stat correctly, the passes that Marcus Mariota threw his way, something like 50% of them were deemed uncatchable. It is really hard to produce when the ball isn't even close enough for you. And we're talking about a large man, and you can't get it close enough for him to catch.
And for them to say uncatchable, it's not like, oh, you missed the fingertips. They don't count those.
No, that means it's like 2 to 3 yards away every time. That has to be so disheartening, knowing you're running a deep route that will never have the ball go there for you. But speaking of tight, we're going to go to another tight end here. Brian, you've got one on your list.
Yeah, and it's kind of a team pick because I'm a Broncos guy, but, Greg Dulcich. I think he did a lot last year, which is nice. They picked up another tight end this year, but Sean Payton loves tight ends. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he's trying to recreate the Jimmy Graham experience, I'll fucking take it.
That's a good point.
So I think, if Dulcich doesn't have a really, really good year stepping it up, I kind of think the new rookie, Alberto Uga, I can't even fucking pronounce his name yet. One of them is going to, but my money's on Dulcich, so...
I like it because in the end, he does having a tight end as a primary weapon in his offense.
Always have that dump off available.
And Russell Wilson needs to have somebody who can dump the ball off to, because there's been a lot of wide receiver injuries for them. Tim Patrick's out for the season. Jerry Jeudy just hurt his hamstring.
Judy! They're saying he should be ready by week 2 now.
Okay.
I hope they let him rest and really heal up and come back week 3 or 4. I hope.
Because you could just as easily put Jeudy on this list for improvements.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Eric, why don't you give us your next one?
Okay. So this one's, like I said earlier, sort of out of necessity, but Jordan Love, I think this is his 5th year in the league?
4th or 5th.
Regardless, even if Aaron Rodgers helped him at all and he absorbed any of it, or if he just watched a Hall of Fame quarterback at work, he's been in long enough, he should have had plenty of practice reps, he's watched the way Rodgers does things. If there's someone taking over who should be set up for success, I have to imagine it's him. So I think Jordan Love is going to exceed expectations.
I don't think they would have just said, all right, fine, we'll see you later, Rodgers, if they didn't really believe he was ready.
So I don't think he's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but I think he's going to exceed expectations, and hopefully he's ready to go.
And you know what? His expectations are probably higher than they should be.
That's also fair.
Just because there's been so much drama around it, and it's do you expect him to perform at that same level when you haven't given him the opportunity? 2 years sitting behind, but instead it's just whiling away down there like this. He was their future.
Yeah. Yeah. And good for him. I don't listen to Cheesehead News every day, but I've never read or heard him say a bad thing about management, about coaching, about Aaron Rodgers. He's could abide my time.
Toe the company line.
Yeah.
And, the thing is also, yes, their wide receivers are young. Tight ends are young. They got 2 really good running backs that he can hand the ball off to in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and they also have a very good offensive line.
Yeah.
So he has pieces there to
all
help
things that are ready-made for a young quarterback.
Absolutely. The best thing to help out a young quarterback is to be able to hand that ball off. I agree. Okay, why don't we go to your last one there, Brian?
Oh, yeah. You'll like this one. James Cook.
Nice.
Unless they get a miraculous, amazing running back out of Indy.
Let's be honest. If Jonathan Taylor goes to Buffalo, that's a Super Bowl team.
Almost instantly. They're already...
I was going to say, I think they're already in the conversation of
Vegas odds, I'm sure they're top 5, but...
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he had a lot of really good runs last year. Not a ton of yardage, not a ton of carries, but every one he did was really, really good.
Yep.
I think he had one fumble for a young.
His very first carry.
His
I
very
believe.
Oh, was it
carry,
really?
yes.
Yeah.
And
His
then
very
no more
first-
after that.
Yeah.
See, that's fucking amazing,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, like, and you know, I like the Bills, but like, I feel like he's got the right attitude, the right personality. He seems to read the field pretty quickly, not amazingly so, but pretty quickly. He can make those quick adjustments. So I mean, you know, I look for him to do a pretty good year.
Okay.
And when you have a strong running quarterback like they do
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
you know, it opens up just that defensive scheme. Like it's
And he has decent
you
hands
got
too.
good- yeah, you got. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of their backup running backs is already out for the season. Jet ski accident. The one they traded for from the Colts last year.
Oh God, yeah. That's
Was riding a jet ski, got hit by another jet ski, and there you go.
yeah.
Oh, I was gonna make a joke about was the guy going 82 and a 35.
No.
I forgot his name already.
Even though Jerry Jones did say, you know, my player that 2 years ago was caught doing 98, he only got pulled over doing 62 this time, and that shows a sign of maturity.
That's less. So.
That's a quote, folks. That is not what I'm saying.
What a fucking dick bag.
What the fuck? I am not saying that. Listen, it's good that Jerry Jones is defending his players. Don't get me wrong. It makes the players very much appreciate their owner and want to play hard for the man. But come on, man.
Yeah.
Plus, he got pulled over with a vape pen with marijuana, which I don't care. I think that should be legalized all around the country. He also had a loaded fucking gun.
No, it sounded like me explaining to my dad why I got pulled over at 16. But Jerry Jones.
Yeah. I think what you're saying is actually, Dad, a sign of maturity.
I did stop for the cops.
Unlike Baker Mayfield.
Oh, if you have never seen it, please look
Oh.
up Baker Mayfield college arrest so you can see him
hilarious.
trying to scramble away from about a 300-pound officer.
He was terrible in the pocket. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Josh Allen would have gotten away.
Jumped right over him.
All right, Eric, what's your last one?
All right, so my last one, safety out of D.C. His name is Cameron Curl. I wouldn't be lying if I said I knew a ton about this guy, but I was reading an article about the Commanders, and apparently Ron Rivera really likes him. I think that defense is a pretty cohesive unit. Rivera's a defensive guy. They seem to really like him. They seem to play hard for him. Just apparently they're singing his praises out of camp, so Cameron Curl, safety. We'll see what happens.
I'd be lying if I said I knew much about the man, but I will say if you're going to have, if their offense is anywhere near as bad as it was last year, he's going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah.
He's going to get a chance to make plays, make a lot of tackles. My last one was one of the first picks the Giants had last year, Evan Neal, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Graded out at, I'm not trying to make fun of him here, but in 7 of 15 games he played, his pass blocking grade was less than 50. That's not good. However, one of the hardest transitions for the tackles coming out is to deal with the speed rushers, the power rushers, and everything else that the NFL has to offer. It's not an easy transition for most of them. It takes a while. He was good in the run game, and I think if he did spend the offseason working on his bend, working on his anchor when he goes in for the bull rushers that are coming in, I think he could take a big step forward. And I think his run blocking is going to be another key for them moving forward because Saquon Barkley had a great resurgence of the year last year. And I think adding that running game aspect also will be fantastic for him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's where I'm going to go.
I like
with
it
that.
too.
Yeah. So that's 3 players we all think are going to step up this year.
We could all be totally wrong. Who knows?
Who knows? Every one of these players could suck. I hope not for my team's sake, though, because 2 of our primary offensive weapons were in there. Fun little thing we're going to talk about now before we get into our picks for players of the year and all that fun stuff. The Cardinals this week traded their 2020 first-round pick to the Giants, Isaiah Simmons. He was a linebacker coming out of college. He's now playing safety. He was apparently a safety in high school and maybe at the beginning of his college career.
Yeah, he bounced around like he was drafted as positionless.
Yeah, they call him
You
a
know.
Swiss knife, and it's more of a jack of all trades and apparently master of none. Focus on one position is the best way to be successful, at least starting in the NFL.
Unless you're Christian McCaffrey.
A little different though, running back, catching the ball, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not a lot of people are as talented as he is. So.
Exactly. But this was the number 8 overall pick in the draft from 2020.
Like,
And they gave him up for a 7th round pick, which is basically saying, just take him.
yep.
They also released DeAndre Hopkins this past offseason, which cost him a dead cap hit of $21 million. He signs with the Titans for 2 years and 26. They trade Josh Jones to the Texans this week for a 5th-round pick, and he started 11 games for them last year, so it's actually an experienced lineman. At the same time, they traded one of their 5th-round picks to the Browns for Josh Dobbs, which makes me worry about Kyler Murray's health if they're already picking up another quarterback.
Yep.
All of this to be saying, are they tanking?
Yes. Next topic.
Well, their draft picks, they have their own number 1 pick. They have Houston's number 1 pick, and not the pick that Houston got from the Browns in the Deshaun Watson trade, but Houston's own. Houston's not going to... Maybe I'm wrong. I don't see C.J. Stroud and Anderson having such an impact on them that they get out of the top 6 draft picks this year.
Yeah, that Houston's pick is going to be pretty good. Their pick is going to be phenomenal.
Like, Stroud would have to be the most amazing. We knew he was going to be okay, but holy shit.
Right.
For that not to be an amazing pick for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to have 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah.
But are they doing this for Caleb Williams? Because my question then becomes, if you're doing this for a quarterback that's coming from the same offense that Kyler Murray played in college, and I get it, Caleb Williams has looked great. So did Kyler Murray in college.
Yep.
As did Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Really, Jalen Hurts is the one that has stood above all those
Yeah.
others. And he had, 1 year? Or 2 years at Oklahoma? Because I know he was at Alabama
Hurts,
before
he
that.
was only 1 year.
Yep. So he's actually the one that has produced the most out of these quarterbacks. The other problem is the cost for any other team taking on Kyler's contract if they did try to trade him. Because before last season, he signed a 5-year, $230.5 million contract. If they trade him before the 2024 season, it will have an $81 million dead cap hit for them. So,
But wait, you talk about if they get rid of Kyler Murray.
I do.
But is he the problem?
I don't think so.
We love to make fun of him running in his tiny little leg. But let's be honest, we have seen some phenomenal things that he's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Him and DeAndre Hopkins was a nice duo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We saw some absolute magic 2 years ago.
We did, but we also saw some interceptions that really made you.
Yeah.
And his playoff game was
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah.
But is he the problem?
Or was it actually a Cliff Kingsbury issue?
Right?
Or he's going to find the right quarterbacks coach for him.
It's possible.
We're not in that room. We don't know.
So if you aren't addressing what the real problem is, right? You don't have the right coaching staff. You don't have anything cohesive for your system. Then he's not the issue.
Well, the other thing here is...
unless all the other things they talk about, like because like he has an attitude issue. he
And you
doesn't
remember
do
that
job.
contract? It was eventually taken
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but there was the clause
COD.
that you cannot play video games after like 8 o'clock or some shit. you
Right,
have to spend
right.
this long
And-
studying
Yeah,
each
right.
week.
but that's when his boys are online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and maybe he is the problem. But I'm also not convinced that Arizona's been so stable with their coach room that you're giving him everything to succeed.
Yeah.
So you're going to do what? Try to get a top quarterback
Well-
without giving them the support that they need? Like, what's the difference?
Let's say they don't
What's the
trade him,
difference?
because if they don't trade him and they're tanking, there is still interesting options here. Because they took Paris Johnson down to Ohio State this year, offensive tackle, help solidify the line. If next year they have 2 top 5 picks with the Houston one, I'm assuming is a top 5 pick at this
Yeah.
point. That would mean that they would have a chance at Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver to give him, and also draft another offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You could completely remake that offense to be very beneficial for him with these picks also.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what's happening because now they got Josh Jacobs, they got Colt McCoy, they got a rookie they drafted this year at quarterback that's been playing pretty well this preseason. It's just, I don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Unless it's just a full tank for a full rebuild. I mean, the Bears basically did it last year, so I can't really talk shit here.
But I'll say this: be smart with all those picks. You know, don't try to trade away 5 of them for one player. You've got all these picks out there.
We've seen it happen.
I know it.
Oh.
I you know, and
And you
I'm
never,
no
see a
expert
quick,
at
you never see a quick fix.
right. You have all of these out there. The potential for 2 to 3 of them to pan out for you is there when you have this many,
Yeah.
right? And you really only need 2 to 3. You know, you might want to throw a couple of those for a certain player, but they need to be patient. They really do.
No, we've seen this movie. The owners want to take the team so bad that they can relocate to Orlando, Florida or something. It was about baseball in that movie, but yeah, same thing.
That's a fair point. Okay, so let's get into our main topic for this week. Oh, wait, no.
Oh,
We have
yeah.
one thing first.
Do we have to?
Yes.
Just real
Yes,
fast.
we do.
For the record, I am not a Cowboys fan. This is my penance for last year's fantasy football.
However, Trey Lance, who last week we went over what his trade got for the Dolphins in the end, was traded to the Cowboys this week for a 4th-round pick. For the Cowboys, I don't mind it. You get a guy, try to develop him, see how he does. I don't mind it at all. But the 49ers, that's got to hurt. You traded a lot to move up to the number 3 pick, and now you're basically getting a 4th-rounder back.
Yep.
Yep.
And you've made every other team better.
Every other team that's touched this is better.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That being said, they might have found an absolute diamond in the rough.
They might have.
You know, Brock Purdy. I love the story behind it.
Yep.
To me, that's one of the best parts of football is a story like that. And to be honest, you know, if Sam Darnold can grow there too, I mean, he was like the number 3 pick at something. You know.
Yeah.
I would love to see him grow into what he could be. So, if there's just no room for that, then fair enough.
Yep.
I agree. And, you know, the thing is, like, how you get a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL doesn't matter as much as did you get one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Brock Purdy came in the
Yeah.
7th round. Okay. You got him regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
True.
okay. Let's go into our picks. We'll start with Offensive Player of the Year. Who would like to start this off?
Yep, I'll start. So, part of me really thinks that, you know, wide receivers, it's kind of their time to shine. And with that, you know, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, all 3 of them are just primed for a monster year. They're already monsters to begin with. I'm not trying to leave out Justin Jefferson. Obviously, he's absolutely insane, but I just think that, like, not sure what Minnesota's got going on for him.
Has there ever been a back-to-back?
I don't know if I didn't even look into that. To
I
be
meant
honest,
to.
good question. For the sake of the story, the way that running backs are getting fucking chewed up lately, I really want to see a running back take it. I think McCaffrey is primed if he's got a healthy year, and all of these obviously assume, you know, a good healthy year. I think he's primed. I think that San Francisco is going to use him to the absolute max. That being said, I could see Nick Chubb and Jonathan Taylor if he goes somewhere quality, but McCaffrey's my pick for offensive.
Very good.
Okay,
Eric?
so I'll hop in. I also almost went McCaffrey, and I probably, like the rest of you guys, waffled over every name Scott just said. I think it's going to be Jamar Chase, but for the storyline, I think it would be really cool if Jonathan Taylor landed somewhere even somewhat conducive for that to happen. So Jamar Chase, I think, is going to get it, but I would love to see Jonathan Taylor just play out of his fucking mind.
Nice.
So that's my pick.
I thought Nick Chubb would be cool, but because we are in the running backs don't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, for 50 years, it was only running backs and quarterbacks.
Yep.
Like, almost exclusively.
Right.
Like, a handful of receivers and that's it, you know? So now it's like, I think just because he is a running back, no chance. I think Stephon Diggs is going to have a monster year. And I feel like I'm a Bills fan, but I
Did
just,
you
I
pick
just
him
do.
last year for this too?
That's
Or
very
was that Eric?
possible. That's possible.
I didn't pick him.
Maybe I did.
I shy away from picking. I shy away from picking Bills players or Bills.
Ah, that's fair. So you're taking Stephon Diggs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for me, I went through the Chase Jefferson. I am leaning towards a running back this year. I think with all that going on, I think we see a bit of a resurgence in a couple of them putting up big numbers. So I looked at Derrick Henry. I was like, well, yeah, anything's possible, and that man is very big. But I actually am going with the man who you said would be cool.
Really?
I think Nick Chubb, if it's going to take Deshaun Watson coming back to form to take the weight off
Yeah.
of that offensive,
True.
because they'll be stacking the box until he proves he can throw the ball again. But if he can, I think it'll be the best quarterback Nick Chubb has ever played with if he goes back to form. And I think the running lanes it will open up. And Nick Chubb is a beast of a running back. He doesn't catch the ball a lot, but he can run the ball well. I mean, last year, even with an injury at the end of the year and not doing great, he ended up with 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns.
And it was a bad season.
And that's
for him.
kind of a bad season.
Bad season.
Because once Watson took over, it kind of all went downhill for the offense in as a whole.
Well, they're still trying to figure out everything.
Yeah, so if Watson comes back and plays well, I think Nick Chubb becomes the offensive player of the year.
So, cool fact, 2 players have won it back-to-back. both running backs. Earl Campbell,
Oh yeah.
back to back to back,
Oh,
That doesn't shock
and
me.
Marshall Falk, back to
Also
back to
doesn't
back.
shock me.
No.
3
Okay.
years in a row, only those two.
Yeah.
And
running
lots
backs-
of players have won it twice, but never consecutively.
One of those
besides
players
two.
can still walk.
Oh.
And I'm not talking trash about Earl Campbell with that,
No,
but that's
that's-
how badly they
Well, no,
abused that.
he
Yeah.
could still kick our ass in a wheelchair. So
Yes, he could.
Probably.
Yes, he could. And out of,
Wait, hold on. Am I standing and he's in a wheelchair, or are we wheelchair to wheelchair?
Either or.
and
I'd
I
rather
went,
be in a wheelchair. I get a chance of
Yeah.
escaping.
and I saw the man's stiff arms in his prime watching film,
Yeah.
and I would not be willing to take a swing at that man.
Nope.
Out of sheer respect for what he could do to me if he got a hold of me. Okay, so Defensive Player of the Year, reigning man Nick Bosa. I actually didn't put him into this list so much because of the holdout, and I don't know. I don't like when players hold out that much because I worry they're going to pull a hamstring or something at the beginning
Yeah.
of the season.
Yeah.
Like, has he been keeping up with his training? And like, oh.
And for the same reason, I kind of took Chris Jones out of the running too because I considered him because he had a great year last year. But
Yeah.
again, he's holding out, and will he be ready for the season when it starts?
Okay. Yeah, so I think Nick Bosa could go back to back. That's not my pick. I'm just acknowledging that. This one is more of a I want it to happen because I really like him as a player. I think it's plausible, but I don't think it's likely. But put me down for Max Crosby.
Oh yeah.
I thought about
Nice.
him too, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think he's talented enough. I think if he strings together a season, it could happen. I just don't think he's like he plays for the Raiders. So I could see Bosa going back to back, but
That's what
I'd,
made me
I'd,
think about him.
I'd love to see Crosby pull it off.
Because he plays for a shit team now, he
Yeah.
can really shine.
I actually that's a really good point, and he's totally primed for it this year.
He'll get plenty of chances with that offense being as bad as I think
And
it will
also-
be with Janine Garofalo at quarterback.
It was funny too. Like I was watching the quarterback. I heard something with Patrick Mahomes, and he was just talking about like how much he hates Max Crosby. He's like, "Oh, I respect the shit out of his game, but like that's what D-end. Like I just fucking hate seeing twice a year."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good cred. Yeah.
Brian?
In line and finding out that there's been consecutive winners for Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Nick Bosa.
Okay.
See what
Listen,
happens.
He is a
See what
fantastic
happens.
defensive end
Yep.
for the 49ers. Always produces. And boy, he is a real pain for them to try to stop off that end. And that
Yeah.
defense in general is so loaded. It's really hard to focus just on him to take him out with
Yep.
blocking schemes.
My gut tells me it's going to be a Cowboy, and I don't want to say that.
Yeah, it
so.
could be Parsons.
Shut up. I said I don't want to say it.
All right.
Yeah, I was considering T.J. Watt, who missed a few games last year, so had a down year. Nick Bosa was in my head. Sauce Gardner was also a possibility I played with. But I do
How
think
cool would it be to win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
Or I'm sorry, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and then Defensive Player of the Year the next year?
Yeah,
That'd
it would be
sweet.
very cool. But I think Micah Parsons takes that next step this year. I know you hate it, but he's a fantastic
Yes, he
player.
is.
And I just think that Dallas defense is really primed for a
Yeah.
run. They've got a second good cornerback this year they traded for. I'm sorry. I just see him as one of the few almost unblockable players in the NFL.
What if Trey Lance and their amazing defense gets them to the Super Bowl
Oh my
this year?
god.
That would be hilarious on so many
It's
levels.
so fucking crazy.
And you would hate every minute of it.
I would.
But I do think Micah Parsons is the one that can take a step up as far as the players that I consider in the running for defense.
And he's
player.
already
he was
so good.
definitely
Yeah.
he is so good. And I think this season he'll have it consistently and really produce stats.
So no new names to throw out there at all. I don't have Nick Bosa on my short list, and it's not because of his lack of ability. It's that I think that the talent level is just really high. T.J. Watt, he's on my short list. He just, and I just the Watts in general, they're just such good guys. It's hard not to root for them.
They really are.
Micah Parsons is such an absolute beast. He's the one to beat for sure. He's the absolute benchmark. But because it is fun, and I want to see the Defensive Rookie of the Year
Nice.
go
like it.
Defensive Player of the
Nice.
Year, and who doesn't love the South, baby?
little South South.
Who doesn't love the South?
I really want that to happen. I
I know.
really do.
My only concern with him is that they're gonna be like, nope, not throwing to that side.
But
It's tough, yeah, because there's not a stat for not thrown to.
Yeah,
right,
you know,
right. But
if there was, Deion Sanders would lead in that
Yeah,
category.
forever, yeah.
well, but that's the thing is like when you look at who he's got to play against, it's the wide receivers there's like what are the options?
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of teams have two. He's
Well,
like,
yeah.
what are you? You're going to avoid what Jalen Waddle and only hit Tyreek Hill?
Yeah.
I guess you could try. You know, you're not going to throw to Justin Jefferson. You know,
Yeah.
right?
And now the Jets might have a real offense. Like,
Yeah, right. So
I like it.
Very good. Okay. Are we jumping straight to MVP?
That doesn't matter.
Okay, well, let's go to let's do offensive rookie of the year next.
sure,
Who wants to lead off?
I'll jump in on this.
Okay.
So there's a lot of chatter about Bijan Robinson, and I want every bit of it to be true. I think that Atlanta, they've got some really fun offensive weapons out there. Again, it all depends on Desmond Ridder. Can he be just average enough to let the rest of the weapons go? And that I think he's such a needed piece for that. So, a quarterback who's needs a little confidence, and you can have this kid just be an absolute stud out there. I like what his potential. Bryce Young, same thing. I mean, he's does he have the ability to lead that team? It's going to be easier for him to get the award than anyone else. I think he's the most set up for success. But Zay Flowers is my pick.
Yeah.
Oh, nice
I
one.
like that. Yeah.
I think that having a really quality target in Baltimore is 100% what's needed. I think he's good for 1,100 yards, and if he can do just a little bit more, and Baltimore, they're just right on the cusp of having a decent season, and be just back to their form they were just a few years ago. Yeah, I think he's the guy.
I'm going to follow Scott if you don't mind,
go ahead.
because he said something. I'm not going to pick the same person, but it crossed my mind. And one thing that sort of made me think of him is that's the first time I think Baltimore's going to have like a good receiver in 4 or 5 seasons. Like they haven't. Their best receiver has been Mark Andrews for like the last 3 years.
Their most
Yeah.
targeted and
Yeah.
leading
Yeah,
receiver.
so like Scott, I'm with you on that. Like it really came across my mind. Bijan Robinson, I kind of thought was low hanging fruit. Like I think he's obviously very capable of winning it. I think he's going to be really good. I just didn't want to pick him, so I'm going with a wide receiver on the Chargers, Quentin Johnston. He's 6'4". Apparently, his best attribute is he's phenomenal in the run after the catch.
Oh.
And then I just think Justin Herbert continually looks better and better. So
Yeah.
I have to imagine Herbert's going to take another step. He's got a 6'4" monster to throw to.
With another 6'4" monster,
With it,
I
yeah.
believe in Mike Williams.
Right, so
no, Keenan Allen is my other guy.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Oh, wait, is that Austin Eckler? I'm going to do a little short dump off.
So yeah, I'm going Quentin Johnston, but very well could see Bijan Robinson. Very well could see Zay as well. So
I don't love any of them, and like quarterbacks first year, you got to be really good to get rookie of the year, like really good, and that doesn't usually happen with quarterbacks, except Bijan. Not because I love UT, but
I was considering Bijan because I looked into it a little bit, and last year Atlanta ran the ball on 55.29% of their plays, which was second only to the Bears as far as running the ball. And Arthur Smith is the head coach. If you don't know who that is, just look at the Tennessee Titans a couple years ago, because that was their offensive coordinator. So that's the type of offense he likes to run, is run the ball. And you don't take a running back with the 8th overall pick without the idea of feeding him the ball.
yeah.
My only problem there is I don't know how good that offense is going to be. So I did not go with him.
The risk, to interrupt real quick, the risk is if you're that bad of a team, you're going to have a lot of long passes going on, and you're avoiding the run game. So.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
Bryce Young was a consideration. I also thought about Jahmyr Gibbs. My only problem there is number 12 overall pick by Detroit,
Running back.
running back.
I don't know him at all.
Yeah, he's out of Alabama. He's good. He's not the biggest guy, so he's going to be. He catches the ball very well, though. And to start the year off, because of the injuries to their wide receivers, he might be split out more than he will be later on in the season. Problem is, though, they gave David Montgomery a 3-year, $18 million contract also, and last year Jamal Williams was that other running back, and he got, I think, 18 rushing touchdowns. So I thought the chance of David Montgomery behind finally a good offensive line for a guy that has always shown up and played hard back when he was with the Bears, I think is going to have a pretty good year. I also thought about Bryce Young, but in the end, I think it's the guy that Justin Jefferson takes defensive coverage away from. I think Jordan Addison will do enough as a rookie wide receiver to end up being the Rookie of the Year.
Really?
Mhm.
Really?
Yep. They throw the ball a lot there.
They
Kirk
do.
Cousins gets like 4,200 passing
Yeah,
yards a season,
yeah.
and Justin Jefferson's going to see a lot of coverage.
So this is the second week in a row you've talked very proudly and positively about the Minnesota Vikings.
It sucks. The other thing is their defense is terrible. Right?
So your offense has to be that
Yeah,
good.
they were outscored last year and still ended up 13-4. So
know.
their offense has to be good.
Like you look at their points for versus points against versus every other team in the league.
Yes.
Like, holy shit! How did you guys win anything?
Yeah, they were 11-0 in one-score games
Yeah.
or single-digit games. But
yeah.
what the fuck? But to do that, your offense has to be good, and I think Jordan Addison, who
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
Biletnikoff winner when he was at Pitt, then he went to USC for one season, still produced well. I think he does well enough.
Yeah, and also
Together.
I'm
I
not
like
saying this because I'm still salty, but the Vikings got bullshit wins where like Josh Allen fucking fumbles on the 1 yard line to lose the game. Yeah,
Did that happen?
no, it could have.
I vaguely recollect
Yeah.
that. Well, hold on. Were they not also the team that came back to beat the Colts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so
then
they
they-
gave up 36
And then
points
they
that
get a
week and
prime
still
time game
won.
on Thanksgiving and lose like 41-3 to the boys. Yeah.
God, their defense is bad.
Man.
Well, speaking of defense,
Hottest commentary of the week right here. God, their defense is bad.
they really are. The Vikings defense is terrible. But I do think Brian Flores was a nice coach to pick up. I will state that.
Yeah.
All right. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Who you got, Eric?
I'm going to go first because I think we might have the same person.
Okay.
Tyree Wilson, defensive end Raiders,
I considered him.
out of Texas Tech.
Yep.
Just freak of nature, size and athleticism. But the other reason I really like him,
What, 6'7", 260?
yeah, something like that, on a good day, with his shoes
Fast,
on.
too. Yeah.
But the other reason I like him is going to go back to the Max Crosby thing. You have them on opposite ends of the line. Max Crosby is already going to garner so much like respect and attention that here's this rookie Tyree Wilson that we might kind of leave to the back burner until we realize he's really fucking good too. So, yeah, I think that'd be a fun pick. They're going to have two great DNs, and
And they're going to need it.
yeah, so put me down for Tyree Wilson.
Okay.
Nice.
Put me down for Tyree Wilson for what he just said.
I mean, I give him extra points for the fact that he started off at Texas A&M and said, "Whoa, this was a fuck up. I'm going to Texas Tech." I am not going with Tyree Wilson though. I looked at this, and a lot of people gave him. I cannot believe I'm doing all this nice stuff for other teams in the North. I looked at the pick, and I was like, a lot of the draft nicks saying, "Why in the name of God did the Detroit Lions take an inside linebacker at the 18th pick?" But Jack Campbell's a great linebacker out of Iowa.
Great linebacker name, great linebacker school.
Yes. Like, I'm sorry. I think they're going to score a lot of points. And their team they seemed to score very quickly last year also. So the defense was on the field a lot. And an inside linebacker is going to be able to rack up tackles. He's going to be back there in some coverage. If he pans out, I think he will be able to put up the numbers. Because that's the other thing. Which of these guys is going to be in a position to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jack Campbell from the Lions. Shit, I'm just predicting that all the rookies for the other teams are going to be good.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
That's a cool pick. That's a real. Cool
You haven't picked a Packer yet.
Yeah.
Nor will I.
I picked Will Anderson, but it's only because the Texans have a really great track record of drafting defensive ends. That's the only reason, you know?
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Is it weird that not a single one of us mentioned Jalen Carter?
I considered him. The problem is there's so much talent on that Philly
Okay.
defense.
Right,
I think he gets
right.
overshadowed a bit.
Yeah.
Because they also got Nolan Harrison, the rookie out of Georgia, who I think will have a good rookie year.
Yeah.
too.
Right.
And they have all the other pieces around there.
No, same reason. Too much talent.
It's just too. All right.
Yes.
I had being
When your
well,
defense is that good already, like
Because they already
yeah,
have Jordan
you know.
Davis, who they drafted out of Georgia the year before,
Yeah.
I believe. There's so much talent on that defense, I think it kind of takes away a bit of the shine. But don't get me wrong. If he ended up having 9 or 10 sacks from the interior line, I could see him
Yeah.
very easily getting this.
Somebody gets hurt,
award.
and they gotta shift scheme around him a little bit more. You never know.
Absolutely. Let's go into comeback player of the year before we go to MVP and coach of the year. How's that sound?
Kim Kardashian.
We're
gonna say that.
Yeah. I was like, should I?
Absolutely, you should.
well, you got to translate to the NFL, so that's got to be Deshaun Watson.
I'm sure. Oh. Ouch.
That's hilarious.
I'm going to put this on the table right now and say that if he gets comeback player of the year, it is a fucking tragedy.
Yep. Yep. Even if his stats are amazing.
I think
Like,
the NFL will have to say no.
well, they won't because like doesn't the AP vote on it? So
Yeah,
they will
that's
never
true.
fucking pick him. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point. The NFL would love it though as a redemption story.
Yep.
for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
The arc of that is something they would really
Yep.
like. All right, who wants to go first on comeback player?
I'll go first.
All right.
Put my dick out here. Russell Wilson.
Sure.
No,
Yeah, sure.
You're pulling a Deshaun Watson and picking Russell Wilson.
I didn't tell anyone to massage it.
He's, if anyone is primed for it, it's him. And to be honest, he doesn't have to do that much.
No.
He really doesn't. Yeah. But I mean, I think, Sean Payton's surrounding him with tight ends, what he fucking loves to run schemes with.
Did you cut an L off his name because you think they're going to get more W's this year?
No, I was typing too fast.
Oh, okay.
I think he will get it, but I am also afraid that they're going to give it to DeMar Hamlin. For all the right reasons. The polar opposite
Hey,
of that douchebag we were just talking
hot
about.
take. Hot take. Ready? Was DeMar Hamlin that good?
No. And that's the thing. But to come back from death, how is he not comeback player of the year? You know?
Listen, if he comes
Is this
back,
Schrodinger's award?
if he comes back and he does a great job, but then I get it. Like, especially it's the good storyline. But let's be honest, the talent level, the ability that the people that we haven't even touched base, but you're right. Like, that's probably who is the front runner for this award. But
That's what the NFL would like to
he
have.
wasn't that good in the first place.
I'm always saying this because Scott opened the door, so these are kind of his words, not mine. But realistically, Scott is right.
Scott, get your hand out of his butt. Stop using him like a puppet.
As a Bills fan, before that heart attack and everything that happened, he realistically was probably not going to be on the Bills roster this season. Yeah.
Right.
And now they can't cut him.
Scott's words.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since you just bashed your bill, who you got for comeback player?
So, couple things. I hope they don't do it. I could see Deshaun somehow fucking finagling his way in there. DeMar for all the right reasons, but I'm in agreement with what Scott was alluding to. But my two realistic choices, I think Cooper Kupp is going to get it. Just coming off that injury. Obviously he's clearly incredible, but had the year off. I think he's a very strong case. And then I think there's a chance that Zeke in the shadows might put together a pretty decent season for Bill Belichick and the Pats. And so Cooper, I guess put me down for Cooper Kupp, but not shocked if Zeke gets it.
All right. Zeke was never really hurt last year, though.
Yeah.
No, I just I guess come back in the sense
His
that he was sort
feelings
of
were hurt.
His feelings were definitely hurt, that's for sure. So
I like Cooper Kupp a lot.
I was gonna say
because
Cooper
he had
Cooper
an
Kupp is on
amazing season 2 years ago. You know.
He's definitely on my short list. I put Justin Fields,
Ooh.
and again,
How much did you pay him to say that?
right? Because
You don't want to know.
there's a clear vision that Eberflus has. It's obvious. All the drafts and all the other things, the trades and all those things. It all seems like it's in the right direction. I think that particular division is it's going to be fun to begin with. Once he starts getting comfortable, he's got all the weapons around him. Yeah, and to be honest, once we saw his wheels, those are really impressive. And now he has people to throw to.
Yeah.
He's got a better line to block for him.
He might only have to run for 500 yards and 9
Oh my
touchdowns.
God,
you know?
right?
I'd feel a lot better about his health if that happened.
All of Bears Nation would. He might
Yeah.
last longer than 5 years.
I considered DeMar. Won't lie. I also considered Calvin Ridley. It's been a year and a half since he played. He stepped away for citing mental health.
Yeah.
And then he got suspended for a year for gambling on
I like
the
that one
Falcons.
too. Yeah.
I also considered DeMar, and Lamar Jackson went through my head because he was injured for a majority of last year.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in this new offense they're running, if he's able to put up passing yards, absolutely. I think Tua is a possibility, but he won't remember winning the award because of all the concussions, so I don't think I should use him. I'm going to go with one that hasn't actually even played a snap in the NFL. Missed his entire rookie year last year with the Texans because he was diagnosed with leukemia. John Mechie III.
He's fucking playing?
He is playing this year. In 2021 at Alabama, he had 96 catches,
Holy
1,142 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Then tore his ACL in the SEC championships. He was already trying to come back from an injury, got diagnosed with leukemia, is back, is healthy this year, and this is the type of story that I think the NFL would absolutely love to have go well,
Oh,
because it would
yeah.
be shining everything in a bright light for them. Plus, it'd be a positive thing for the Houston Texans, which Bill O'Brien and Deshaun Watson put such a stink on that organization.
Yep.
I think it would be a huge thing for the NFL and for the Houston Texans in general. And so I think if he can
I
make
like
it to the
that a lot.
season, I think he's got a real shot at
Even
it.
take
Yeah,
that
that's
away,
a
it
good
could be a huge thing for like leukemia research funding.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
Oh, I did forget to add. I would like it to be Russell Wilson because it'd be funny as shit to get Geno Wilson last year and then Russell Wilson this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Geno Smith.
Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be kind of funny. Considering the entire trade thing, that would be
Yeah.
actually hilarious. Okay. Coach of the Year, then we'll go to MVP. I will start out with Coach of the Year. I very much considered Sean Payton. I won't lie, because let's be honest, if they just have a 500
If they
season
make
after
the
what happened
playoffs or
last year,
something?
if
Yeah.
they're in the
Oh.
run to make the playoffs,
You're
gonna
taking
have
the
to
words out of my
consider him.
mouth. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that Matt Eberflus, should the Bears make the step that I truly hope they do, will be in contention. But in the end, I think I have the same one that Brian does, based on what he's got written down there. I think if Dane Campbell can take the Lions to the playoff,
Yep.
get that defense to step
Yep.
up, I think Dan Campbell will end up being the Coach of the Year.
So first of all, I agree with you. To me, I have one coach on here for real reasons and one for funny reasons. Dan Campbell, because last week I predicted that the Lions are going to take the North anyways, and the turnaround is already phenomenal. Even if he doesn't take the North, if it just you really see like a good strong season.
Well, the culture of that team he's built. Oh man.
I think
Yeah.
I think that even like just the storyline, the NFL storyline behind it, but ultimately like what that team is doing, they're primed to take the North. Dan Campbell. That being said, my personal choice is Cliff Kingsbury.
From not being
It'd be
there.
hilarious.
Such an
Getting-
improvement since he left.
Getting the fuck out of Arizona.
Coaching a Vietnamese prostitute. Like,
Tie.
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 He's in
Get it
Thailand.
right.
That's right.
One-way ticket.
Oh, that's funny as shit.
Yeah.
Eric, who you got?
Yeah, so I like Dan Campbell for all the reasons you guys have picked. I thought about it, but Matt, you said it. Sean Payton, and that's another low-hanging fruit one too. But
my boy.
like what Matt said, if he gets the Broncos to like around 500 and makes Russell Wilson look like he's seen a football before, I think.
If he makes that offense unlimited.
Yeah, so like, I think it's an easy pick, it's a safe pick, but if they win like I don't know 9 games and Russell Wilson like sort of looks normal again, they'll give it to him.
Even though he trashed his predecessor, which is
Yeah, no, he set it up for like
That's real shit.
if I
yeah.
suck. Yeah, no, it's such a bitch move, but he's like,
Right.
And especially
I'm either
for a
gonna
guy-
exceed expectations or like, look, this guy sucked anyway.
Yeah. Look what he did to
but
me.
especially
Yeah.
for a guy who like with the Saints, like it's amazing to me he did that, and I get it. Yeah, yes, Hackett did not do a good job as a head coach last year.
Yeah.
That's no one is shocked when I say this. But Sean Payton, like, come on, I believe won Coach of the Year before. You're probably a Hall of Fame coach if you
Yeah.
didn't take this job. Got so much goodwill towards him with the way he kept the Saints going forward in the path of Hurricane Katrina afterwards. Really, that city won over by the Saints.
Yep,
Like everything
yep.
he did, all that good, everything that everyone had felt good for when they discussed Sean Payton, and then you just blast Nathaniel Hackett. It seems. I thought it was out of character. Maybe we just don't know his character.
Yeah, that's true.
you know?
That's very
Yeah.
true.
I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I would not be shocked. If they get to 500, Sean
Also,
Payton will have to be in
You
the
have to
discussion.
think for a decade he had one of the most affable quarterbacks in the league at the helm. Like,
Very true.
Yeah.
not many people dislike Drew Brees.
Yeah.
you know.
This is quite accurate.
Yeah.
Sean Payton won in 2006.
Yep. The year they won the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it was the year before. That was the year that...
they were 3-13 the year before.
Yeah,
and then they made the NFC
Bears knocked
Championship
him out of
game.
the playoffs, and then we promptly lost to the Colts. Yeah. Well, Rex Grossman lost to the Colts.
Yeah. Yep.
That asshole. Okay. Last one, boys.
The quarterback of the year.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
What it is.
I mean, what is it? Lawrence Taylor is the only defensive player to win it, I believe. Did Ray Lewis?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis should have one of those years, but
It every year it's always like
I mean, Palamalu should have won it like once.
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
right.
Ed Reed, fuck. I mean,
It's one of those things that like I get it. They're the general, they're the captain, whatever the fuck you want to call them.
Yep. Lawrence Taylor.
But
Yep.
you know,
Yes. Alan Page in 71.
Defensive
Who
lineman
could
for the
forget?
Vikings, and he was a beast with the Purple People Eaters.
71? Oh, okay, that group. Okay, okay.
Yeah, he was an absolute.
oh, that was like Franz Harkington days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, he was
yeah,
an absolute monster of a defensive player. He was fantastic.
Well, well before any of us were alive. So.
Yes, I mean the only reason I know this is because I've watched old NFL films. And,
Doing battle with Otto Graham.
no. He was a.
We'd say 1871.
Oh, you can all kiss my ass. All right, so last year it was Patrick Mahomes, and it was a well-deserved one. Tyreek Hill traded to Miami. Everyone thought that the Chiefs might take a step back, and Mahomes said, "Listen, I got Kelsey, and I will distribute this ball all over the field."
Yep.
And he did
Yep.
really successfully,
Yep.
en route to a
Yep.
championship.
yep.
So, Scotty, why don't you start us off?
I'm gonna throw 4 names out here,
Okay.
and tell me if you guys don't have all these 4 on your short list. Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, and Burrow.
They were on my short list.
I
Absolutely.
mean, right?
I don't have Burrow on my short
My
list.
pick's not.
So you don't have Burrow. So Burrow's actually my pick.
Really?
I
That's a
think
good
the Bengals are just they've been nipping like the past 2 years, and they're just their offensive line came together last year nicely, just like it did the year before. Right at the very end, they need to have that cohesive for the whole season, and if they can actually be the team that's going to get 15, 14 wins, they're terrifying and scary.
Yeah?
He's got the absolute swagger for it. He really is that talented. So I think this is his year.
Nice. I'll let you go so you can prime Eric up for feeling good about his team.
You ready for this? Ready for this?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Josh Allen.
I mean, really get into it though.
No, I mean, I think...
Go on.
No, please continue.
I
Talk
mean,
about how handsome he is.
I don't think he's a handsome
He's
guy.
not a
right?
handsome man.
All right.
He just talked about Joe Burrow. Come on. It's the
And-
prettiest man in football.
Yeah, that's right. I know that's Janine Garofalo.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, that's fair.
I'd have his babies. Come on.
I like blondes, No, I think, and like, I don't know if he will actually win it. I think he'll do everything to win it this year. But because his team has such talent, that also makes it tough. That's also why Joe Burrow wasn't on my short list. If your team is too good, it's usually hard to do that. Like, Mahomes last year was a big anomaly because they lost the fucking best receiver in football,
Yeah.
So everyone thought, oh, big step back. And he's like, no,
But it also confirmed that I'm still the best quarterback in
Oh, yeah.
football.
Oh, yeah. That's why I was like, well, how do you not give it to Mahomes,
This year, I'm actually waiting for Mahomes to literally pass a ball by kicking it rugby style, and it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be a spiral, Yeah.
If it were legal, I'm sure he would have thrown a bounce pass by now. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
If it
Oh,
wasn't
I've seen him
considered
do
an
it on film.
incompletion.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a perfect spiral, perfect, yeah. Oh, it's funny.
Like
shit
through
to
a
watch.
linebacker's leg,
Yeah.
like some guy in stride. Yeah.
He'll bounce it off someone's foot. That's still legal.
Absolutely.
I could see him about to get sacked, and he's like running backwards or running, the opposite way, and he knows he can't turn around, and behind the back punt, and someone catches it.
Yeah.
He's so fucking great.
It's illegal.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, because you have to say it's a punt.
Yeah. It's an illegal play.
That's true, because the defense couldn't set up properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta change that. That'd be so much fun.
That's what it
Come on,
is.
yeah.
Who you got, Eric?
So my pick, Scott kind of mentioned all people I thought about, but just as we always talk about, the AFC is such a gauntlet with quarterbacks, and I do think this guy is really good. I could very well see Jalen Hurts getting it if he has sort of a comparable season to last year, maybe a little better. He's in the NFC. He's going to shine a little brighter due to that. So
That's a good point, yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's one of the AFC quarterbacks, but yeah, put me down for Jalen Hurts.
I like
Okay.
it.
So I went through a lot of these same names you guys are, and actually one I considered and I took away because I considered Dak Prescott also because I thought, Brandon Cooks being added to that wide receiver room. Michael Gallup is back healthy. CeeDee Lamb is still there. They've got a couple tight ends that we don't know a whole lot about right now because they let it wasn't Schwartz, something of that sort.
Schultz
at tight end go.
Yeah.
And plus, he can dump the ball off to Tony Pollard pretty much anytime he wants to. And I think Deuce Vaughn is a nice little emphasis on little scat back to throw the ball to at 5'5".
Well,
Also,
I wish they-
5'5",
I wish they played for the
175
Cardinals.
pounds, by the way.
and also the linebackers can't see the fucker till he gets through the line of
Yeah,
scrimmage.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. But Mike McCarthy has said he doesn't want to pass the ball as much as last year. He wants to run the ball more. So because of that, I was like, well, I can't really put him there. But I looked at the offensive coordinator he used to have, Kellen Moore, who his first year with Kellen Moore had 40 touchdown
Yeah.
passes, over 4,000 passing yards. Justin Herbert already had Mike Williams, already had Keenan Allen, already had Austin Eckler. He had Quentin Johnson to that mix also. For a guy, an offensive coordinator that likes to throw the ball down the field to a quarterback with arm talent for days. And this is really sad because I think I picked Justin Herbert last
You
year also.
absolutely did. You 1,000,000% did.
So I'm going with the I was 1 year early bet. But with all those things being said, I think Justin Herbert has, if the offensive line could stay healthy this year, I think with the offensive coordinator change and with all those weapons there, he's got everything he needs to put up the numbers that one would need to do this.
So
Now,
you think they'll do what we thought they were going to do last year?
yep. But now they have an offensive coordinator that wants to, unlike Joe Lombardi last year.
Yeah, that can make a big difference.
So having said that, and having heard all these names, I want all of us to try to pick a dark horse MVP candidate that doesn't come from that group of names. I don't care if it's a defensive player or an offensive player.
So an offensive player outside of QB that isn't already in our offensive player of the year list. I mean,
I don't care if you go from the offensive player of the year list. I'm talking about MVP because these days it is basically a quarterback-driven award.
Can I give you
Yeah.
two on the same team?
Absolutely.
I don't think they're going to get it, but I think they'd be really fun, and they are all pro caliber players. So it's not like I'm coming up with you insane names. Kittle
Ooh,
If he
I
can stay
like
healthy.
that. I like that.
and Fred Warner at linebacker for the Niners.
He is a beast.
An absolute fucking monster. Like I said, I don't think either of those will happen, but they're both all pro caliber players, both very fun to watch, and I just
see, I
Yeah.
think it'd be trickier for Kittle to get it over like a healthy McCarthy, just because Kittle is.
you mean healthy
loves-
Kelsey?
Sorry. Yes, my bad. I was the wrong team. Sorry.
No, I agree with you, but also Kelsey is much more of a like Kittle is a great receiving tight end, but Kelsey doesn't block a linebacker out of the end zone.
No, sorry.
Kittle does that.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, sorry. What I was saying was I don't think that Kittle can get it. Kittle's going to be instrumental to the win, but he loves blocking so much that like if McCarthy's healthy,
I
that's-
know.
they're going to him. McCaffrey, not McCarthy. Sorry,
Oh, McCaffrey.
I knew you were
They're
talking
gonna-
about,
they're-
yeah.
Oh, okay,
Or
I got-
Brandon
I-
Ayuk, or Deebo
Right,
Samuel.
yeah.
no, I
like
was
it-
mixed up. I thought you were talking about Kelsey. I didn't realize you were talking about McCaffrey.
They're going that route with it, like because like if you don't need him to be a receiving tight end,
I know.
he loves fucking blocking, and because there's all those other weapons. Now, is he going to be an absolute linchpin?
Yeah, but
that
like-
man, that man is so fun to watch.
Like if you're an actual football guy, like a
And
coach
his love
or
for
like
the game, it just bleeds through when you
Yeah.
watch
yeah,
him
like
play.
if you're a coach or general manager or someone that's not us in a garage, and you like, all right, McCaffrey could
Hey,
break off that.
hey.
You know what I mean? But like McCaffrey could rip that off because Kittle
Did he
played the
just dunk
safety.
on himself and us?
Yeah, but I'm saying, but like
I'm
McCaffrey
offended,
could do what he
sir.
does because Kittle blocked the safety 10 yards downfield before, like you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Brian, you got anybody? Still looking?
I do. I was gonna see if a tight end had ever won it, and I'm pretty sure. Kind of going off what Scott was talking about Joe Burrow. We've only ever seen one kicker MVP. Why not Evan McPherson?
A kicker did win MVP once, and he didn't even have that
Once.
great of the year.
Nope. That was like
But it
30
was
years
a strike
ago.
shortened year, I believe, too. Yeah.
That's cool. That's and we last year we talked all about how the kickers really should be making more money because I don't even remember exactly.
Oh.
I calculated the actual like the percentage of points that
Yeah,
they put
it was
up.
fucking
Justin-
high.
Justin
It's like
Tucker gets
40%
paid.
of the
Yeah.
points. Yeah.
Justin Tucker gets paid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$4 million.
Justin
For a
Tucker.
kicker?
No, he's doing like 6, I
Is it
think.
6?
Justin
Yeah.
Tucker in
But
a,
people were furious about that
Justin
contract.
Tucker in warm-ups before the last game.
Did you see that?
Kicked an
83?
85-yarder.
I mean, no one in front of
No,
him.
yeah, no one in front of him, so
But
he's able to kick it
still.
on a trajectory that could have been batted down. But
Yeah,
are you
just a
kidding
line
me?
drive. Oh.
Yeah, oh, it's so fucking
From
cool,
the
though.
25. Ponder that for a minute.
And he makes fun of Russell Wilson on team flights. He's got it all.
So I hate the scenario. Hate the scenario that I'm playing out in my head right now. And obviously it goes against one of my picks, but Micah Parsons on a good year for the Cowboys, which is real bad for my Giants. Micah Parsons could be an MVP.
Yeah. If that defense plays as well as I think they're capable of,
Are you saying he's as dominant of the league as Lawrence Taylor was, though?
if he puts in that kind of season,
I mean, it's
listen,
possible.
listen,
the Cowboys' D is really good.
and you're right. So someone like him who can really, really shine.
Debbie thought so too.
My
Yeah.
God. You know, no one under
I don't care.
40 is going to get that reference.
But the ones that do are going to just laugh their ass off and spit out a drink if they were taking a sip.
We talking Debbie Does Dallas? Allegedly.
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 All right. Well, great. Now we can't monetize the show. Thanks a lot, Eric.
Sorry.
You just
son of
yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as a defensive player that could win it, I think if T.J. Watt comes back and has the type of season he's capable of, I think he would be in the running because of the amount of sacks that he is capable of getting. I mean, I believe he tied the record that Michael Strahan has for, like, was it 21 and a half, 22 and a half a couple years ago?
Yeah.
I don't understand to this day how he didn't win it for that, because that was outstanding and amazing.
Well, every year there's people that get robbed. We know it. Yeah.
Absolutely true. If Tua does get hurt again, but Tyreek Hill puts up the numbers he's capable of still, I
Is there-
think Tyreek Hill would be a dark horse
Do
chase
they still
there.
have Bridgewater as the backup?
Huh.
No.
Yeah, no.
No. I'll look up there.
I think he
Yeah.
actually got released by whoever he was playing for, like very recently.
So he plays for the Niners already?
Probably.
Dibs.
Mike White.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right. Mike
yeah,
White.
yeah.
Wait, oh, no, Mike White was solid.
And Mike White will throw it to Tyreek Hill.
He was because he was with the Jets last year.
Yep.
And we're like, why are you getting rid of him?
And that's
He
when
was like
Garrett Wilson was actually really putting up numbers.
He was
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
stable QB they had last
Yeah.
year. I was like,
Yep.
you're getting rid of him? Why the fuck?
Yeah.
Yep.
To be honest, that's a really good point. Like, another Tua timeout, and Mike White comes in, and Tyreek just puts up the numbers, and the reality is, like, when you've got weapons on both sides of the field, because Waddle is also brilliant
Absolutely.
out there. I like that. That's a good dark horse pick. That's nice.
Matt, if I could say one last thing before you start finishing up however you want. Just real quick, thinking of dark horse MVPs and defensive MVPs, I think the defensive player who was probably closest to winning it recently was Luke Kuechly in his prime.
Oh, yeah.
Like 2013 Luke Kuechly.
And he was an amazing...
and he was deserving of it. And of
Yes.
course, just because he was a defensive player. But yeah, like 2013 Luke Kuechly could have been the MVP for sure.
I agree. And unfortunately, the defensive players, for some reason, get very overlooked in the MVP standings.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I'm sorry, who was Eric's?
Oh, I said Fred Warner would be fun on the defensive side. And then he's not going to get it for reasons Scott pointed out, a lot of blocking. But I think Kittle would also be cool.
That's what you said, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that's our show for this week. Next week, we will be doing our predictions for all the divisions, for the conferences, our playoff picks, our Super Bowl
We're
picks.
getting so close to real football.
We are so close, because we're going to do that for the first half of next week's show, and then the second half will be nothing but predicting actual football games. Before we go, will you check the chat box, just make sure we didn't miss anything?
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to look at it. I am a bad producer.
That's okay. You're not actually the producer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, put it on me.
No, we're all good. We're good.
All right, very good. All right, so we will be back next Sunday night, 8 o'clock. If for those of you who are listening on the podcast right now, which is available on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify, if you like the show, give us a like, give us a follow, leave a review, Tell us what we're doing right, wrong. Leave a topic we can discuss. That'd be great too.
Yep.
But if you are listening, it means you are not watching right now. Every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, we will be streaming as we do our podcast live on YouTube. It's a change from what we've been doing in the past, where we were doing a barroom commentary throughout the Sunday night game. Just kind of felt like it was getting a little stale. We needed to change that.
When the Manning brothers pretty much copy us exactly what we were doing.
Minus whiskey, beer, and cigars.
Yeah.
Those
Although
pussies.
they did dunk on Joe Buck, which we appreciate.
Yeah, I will give it a tip of the cap on that one.
Because always, fuck Joe Buck, he's the worst.
He is.
Just like most of the announcers, except Erin Andrews. She's incredible.
Put her in the booth.
Put her in the booth.
Absolutely. But yes, we will be doing this every Sunday night. We'll have the chat box up if there's something y'all want to discuss from the day's games, something you want to discuss about the next week's games, all here for it. Leave a message. We'll definitely bring it into the conversation as we do it. And that is, as I said, every Sunday night, 8 o'clock on YouTube. Just search Half the Distance Live. Take you right to our page. And if you like it, give us a like and follow on that. Appreciate that as well.
Yep.
Any last thoughts? Any hopes for the MVP, defensive player, any of that sort? Other than, please, please, please don't give it to Deshaun Watson for comeback player of the year?
I mean,
That's pretty much. That's all I care about. Not him. Yeah.
right. There was already 40 other backs that were.
Oh.
All right, never mind.
Allegedly.
That's hilarious. Also, if you don't know what we're talking about with that little joke about Kim Kardashian, just look up Parks and Rec spoof or outtakes, and Kim Kardashian, and it will pop right up, and it is hilarious. All right, so for Half This Is Live, Scotty Stats, I'm Matty Fax, Brian the Professor, Eric, a.k.a. Pepe Le Pew Ducer. We'll see you next week. Hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy some college football this week, because
Yeah.
it'll be getting
Yeah.
played,
Yeah.
and get ready to try to see if you can outpick us on the games.
Yeah.
I don't mind a little competition.
Not at all.
We'll be here next week. Hope you all have a wonderful week. Thanks for checking it out.